Hello, thanks for coming back to watch another video. Thanks for doing your math. As usual, you should have already done the math and you're just checking your work. All right, let's start. Number one, we have this great big picture up here. And it's hard to say what it is until you read the problem. Surya wants to paint her shutters blue. If her windows and shutters are the same rectangle, how many square inches of painting will she do? So it looks to me like these are the shutters because they've got the little lines on them like shutters. So she's painting each of her shutters blue. There we go, better painting. The window and the shutters are the same rectangle. And then how many square inches of painting will she do? So we've got all these numbers up here. Over here, 25 inches. I think that is saying how tall the windows are. And the shutters are the same as the windows. So everything is 25 inches tall. 13 inches, it looks like the shutters are 13 inches wide. And this window is also 13 inches wide. They say the windows and the shutters are the same rectangle. So I think that lets us know that this shutter is also 13 inches. And this shutter is 25 inches tall, just like everything else. So to find area, we always just have to multiply the length times the width because we want to know how many squares there are in there. In this case, there are 13 squares by 25 squares. So we'll multiply that out. 10 times 20 is 200. 20 times 3 is 60. 10 times 5 is 50. And 3 times 5 is 15. Add that all up. And we come out to 325. So it looks like each of these shutters is 325 squares, and each square is 1 square inch. So 325 square inches for each. And since she has to paint them both, she has to paint 325 twice. So her total painting is 650 square inches. 650 square inches of paint. All right, number two, solve for the quotient R. Down here we've got R, and R equals. So when you see the word quotient, you are thinking divide. That's matching up, that's nice. R is just the answer. So R right now is standing in for the answer. To find out what R is, we are going to have to divide. So we've got 87 divided by 9. That means 9 times what is 87, or close to 87? I know 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 9 is 81. And there are 6 left. So our answer here could be 9, remainder 6. And if you got 9 remainder 6, that is fine. But we could take this a little farther and say instead of 9 remainder 6, we could say that we have 9 and we have these 6 left over, but we are still trying to divide it by that original 9. So instead of 9 remainder 6, we can say 9 and 6/9. That's useful, like if you're measuring something, you can measure out 9 and 6/9, but you can't measure out 9 remainder 6. We could even go a little further and take the 6/9 and simplify it a little by dividing those both by 3, which would get us 2/3. So 9 and 2/3 is our simplest answer. 9 and 2/3. Number 3, Terry bench presses 215 7/8 pounds. What is 215 7/8 rounded to the nearest whole number? So when we see the nearest whole number, that means the ones place. And 7/8, if you'll think back to some of those fraction strips, 7/8 is almost 1, right? Because 8/8 would be a total of 1. So if we are almost to 1, that means we are going to round up to the next whole number. The next whole number past 215 is 216. So our nearest whole number is 216 pounds. Number 4. Compare the following values using less than, greater than, or equal. We're comparing 78 divided by 10 to 7 9/10. Well, to know how much 78 divided by 10 is, we are going to have to actually do the division, right? So we're doing 10 into 78. How many 10s are in 78? So, well, there's 7 10s in 78, right? 7 times 10, 7 times 10 is 70, and we've got 8 left. So our answer could be 7, remainder 8, but that doesn't help us know if it's more or less than 7 9/10. So we need to do that same thing we did on number 2. We're going to take that 7, and we've got the remainder 8, and we are still trying to divide by 10. So 7 8/10, which in decimal form is 7 8/10. And now it's real easy to compare to 7 9/10. It is just a little bit less. Okay, we are coming up on the last one. Number 5, we are just finding area and perimeter. Up on number 1, we talked about area being length times width. We want to know how many squares are in there. We've got a length of 72, a width of 12. So we need to do 12 times 72. Let's see, I'll find some space over here. 72 times 12. 10 times 7 is 700. 10 times 2 is 20. 70 times 2 is 140, and 2 times 2 is 4. Let's see, that row adds up to 720. This one adds up to 144. Add it all up, and I've got 864. So 864, but I'm not done. I need to label this to show that it's area. So with area, we're talking about how many squares. So my SQ is for squares, and the squares are a kilometer big. So the square kilometers. So this is a pretty big place, 864 square kilometers. Perimeter is the outside edge. Some people think of it as a fence. A fence usually goes around the perimeter. So we are just going all the way around. We have to go past the 12, and then we'd have to do another 72. We'd have to go up past another 12, and across another 72. So all together, where can I fit that in? Way over here on the side. I went 12, then past the 72, then past the other 12, and past the other 72. 2, 4, 6, 8. Let me see. 7 and 7 is 14, 15, 16. 168 kilometers of fence. 168. I don't put the squares here because I'm not talking about squares. I am just talking about how long the fence is. 168 kilometers. There you have it. There's lesson 115. Thanks for doing your math every day, and we'll talk to you again soon.